Hello, KFC SuperCoaches. It's the countdown show, round 17. We start with breaking news, and it is good news that Grant Anderson has been named for the Storm for tonight's clash. That means we can lock him in, thank God. And we've got a huge panel tonight with two former champs on. We'll start with you, Tim, Moodie.
Thank you.
How many have you got on the park this week?
I've just been sitting there scrambling, counting. I think I've got 11 decent players and then two really sort of, they might get 20 minutes in Wishart and Moali.
What would you take from those two, Wishart and Moali? 30 points each or 24 points
Oh, mate,
each?
I would take, yeah. Look, I won't be disappointed with any points as long as they get on the field and put points on there. They've been doing nothing for me all year, so...
I'll point out that Tim is doing... You often do live trading on the show, but there's going to be lots of live trading tonight with 4 trades on offer. If you do have the boost, of course, there's 3 if you don't have the boost. Joe Naddaf's on as well. How many have you got on?
7. I'm looking at 2 trades this week. I'm going to be a bit stingy this week. COVID's sort of thrown a real spanner in the works. I think holding trades is going to be really key for that late run. So... And it's the quality, having Madison out. I had my eyes fixed on Madison, so having Madison out has sort of deterred me a little bit. So
yeah, Maddo was in for me, but I've had to reverse that trade. We'll go through late mail later on, but Madison looks like he's out for at least another couple of weeks with a rib injury. I've got 10 on the park as it currently stands with 2 trades, and I think I'm just going to stick with that. It's quality over quantity. I've still got a couple of guys in there who aren't particularly good quality, but I don't want to tear my team apart just for this round. Grant Anderson is playing. Thoughts on tonight's game initially off the bat? It's Ryan Papenhausen, VC.
Yeah, look, it's a funny one. I was originally thinking if it was wet, maybe not Pappy. I haven't sort of had the opportunity to have a look at the conditions yet, so anyone who's watching on another screen, let us know what it looks like. If it looks dry, if it looks a bit wet. I was thinking more maybe Hines as the VC when he was playing. I was thinking he might be the better go, but now I'm like rethinking Pappy. I'm like, is he now more of a thing considering all the other Storm players are out? Now that Hines is also not playing, Sharks are weaker. So does that mean Pappy just has a little bit more pep in his step? And it's stressful, man.
Yeah, he needs 6 minutes, doesn't he?
No, we only need 6 minutes.
That's the dangerous part, so...
Yep, you can do a lot in a short amount of time. Joe Naddaf, you're all over the final teams.
Yeah, so Melbourne Storm are 1 to 12. Yep. For the Sharkies, they've got Hamlin Ueli coming onto the bench. Andrew Feder starting prop, so he was probably pretty popular early in the year. So for those that heard him from the start, will benefit pretty well. Obviously, Trindle will come in for Nico Hines in goal kick. And the other out is Toby Rudolph. That's going to obviously help Melbourne's middle sort of dominate a little bit, which could be fruitful again for Papenhausen and the like. So...
Geez, that Nico Hines news yesterday was such a blow, wasn't it? Unexpected. We got the good news early in the week, and then he picks up COVID a bit later. So hopefully Nico is back soon and firing. But a lot of people are selling. I'm not. I'm going to hold. You're sticking strong.
You know how much I love Nico. No chance.
Oh, exactly. No chance.
I'd sell my kid before I saw Nico.
Yeah, exactly. But you're thinking of it.
I'm panicking because, I've gone down in the rankings 2 weeks in a row, and I'm not used to that. I don't like that. That's not something that makes me feel nice. I've had a bit of a miserable week because of it. But I'm thinking I'm going to change gears and go hardcore, pretty aggressive this week, use my boost, use 4 trades, and potentially just... trade him out, and try get him back. When I say I'll get him back, I mean I'll try very hard to make that happen, and if it works, it'll work. If not,
Well, send your questions through, guys. Right now, we're going to pimp your teams. So much coming through already. People are asking if Tim has stuck his finger in the power socket tonight.
I was trying to hide my hair last week under the Breenies for Brain Cancer Hughes Foundation merchandise. And I thought I couldn't really get away with that 2 weeks in a row, so I've had to let the beast back out. And look, I'm trying to find some time to get to the hairdresser. I'm just a highly sought after SuperCoach panellist. Obviously,
Easy.
Sir Timothy I and Sir Joseph I.
That's it.
So much coming through. Harry's asking, do I sack Nico Hines for Latrell or do I drop Munster for Latrell? Look, I'm in this exact same situation. I'm going Munster because he's not playing. I do have quite a few trades, so I have the liberty of hopefully bringing Munster back into my team in a couple of weeks' time. But certainly, I'd be selling Munster over Hines for sure.
Yeah, I'm such a big fan of the Latrell trade. The fact that he came out after the game and ruled himself out of Origin, I think mentally, and he's talking about leadership and repaying Souths, what they've done for him. He's looking lean. I'm telling you what, good sunny, good conditions tomorrow at Newcastle. He's my vice captain tomorrow night, and I just can't wait. Which is rip and tear.
I mean, just delving into that a bit more, that means you're not VCing Papenhausen.
Well, I'm not buying Papenhausen, so I'm going to go home and order some KFC from one of the delivery partners, have a very stiff scotch, and watch that game and, clench my fist and hope Papenhausen goes under 80.
Under 80. Well,
I'll take under 80.
He was not going well with about 5 minutes to go in last week's game. But
I've been trying to just ignore my gut, because my gut's telling me that as hard as it is to get Pappy in, he's going to have to go again, because I've got a feeling that something's going to not play out. I don't know. I've got this feeling that because it's creating so much stress to get him into the side, surely something's going to happen. We're like, it wasn't worth it. Or he didn't score that much. He only scored 40 within 70 odd minutes last week, and it was perfect for people who did want to pick him up like us this week. But after pumping out that big score, it's really frustrating trying to find a way to get him. Would you get him if you could afford him, or are you just being patient?
I can afford him. I can afford him, but I don't want to sell Munster. I don't want to sell Angus Crichton and the like. I want to really build my team up for the run home, because I can get him next week by selling Cody Walker and Ezra Mam. There's a lot of players that are playing this week that aren't playing next week. They want to they're dead weight. So I'm going to wait a week, and hopefully Cronulla can be stubborn tonight.
Lots of questions coming through, and there's a common theme about cheapies. Would you go Pole or Hosking this week? There's a couple of other nuffs floating around as well, and a guy like Jed Cartwright. How would you order those guys?
It's really hard because they all offer something different. It'd be very team dependent on which guy you go with. I was considering on the drive in, I was sort of put a line through Hoskins and sort of decided I'm more into either Pole or Cartwright. And I like Cartwright because I feel like he'll probably get 80 minutes. If he gets a try, he could get a good score. He'll probably disappear. You're paying a little bit more for him. He's 205 instead of that bottom basement dollar of 175k. So that's the awkward thing. You said to me before the show, right, you're probably going to want that 30k later on. There'll be a trade you'll need to make. If you just needed an extra 30k, you could have made it. So you might be thinking, I don't need this Cartwright guy now. So but if you think Cartwright's going to score more, maybe get him this week if that's what you're going for, his points. But for me, I like the idea that Pole could possibly still stay in the side. If Utakamano gets another injury, he'll definitely stay in that bench rotation, I'd imagine. Or anyone to the side, Zane Musgrove, something like that. So he could be a goer. He looks tough. So
a point a minute in 40 minutes was pretty good last week. For me, I've got Jed Cartwright. That 30,000 extra you're going to pay. The good thing about Jed Cartwright is he'll probably play this week, and then when Arrow and Murray and the like come back from Origin, he'll be out the back door, and but then there's that 30k there. I'm in towards Hoskin. I looked at the bench of the Broncos, and it's very thin. They've got Pakes, Corey Pakes, and Tyson Gamble on the bench, so I can envisage him playing.
I've got no idea what he looks like, so I can't pick it
up.
I remember Google him, and I don't even know what he looks like. So
I remember his old man playing.
He's the son of the mule,
Yeah, so for me, that 175, and I'm pretty sure he'll play 80 minutes again with that bench they've got. So it's Hoskin for me.
Hoskin, yep, good call. No cheapies. I've managed to free up cash over the last few weeks, so no cheapies for me this week, and I'll probably be nothing from here on in from next round. Big game tonight. So much SuperCoach relevance in this Storm v Sharkies clash. Let's do the burning issues. Right, so repeating the big news that we've already been through, Nicho Hynes is out due to COVID. That news came through yesterday, of course, so it's probably old news to your ears now. Ryan Papenhausen is the most popular purchase this week, and definitely a VC option. I've got him locked in. Joe Naddaf is avoiding him altogether and going with Latrell Mitchell as his VC. Grant Anderson is going to play, so that news came through about 15 minutes or so ago that he will play, so that's a popular cheapie in. Let's talk about some guys who we haven't spoken about yet. Brandon Smith at $350,000. Does he pique your interest?
Brandon Smith, 2021, I'd be all over him. He was a hog. He was in there. He was, I think, a bit lighter. I think the off-season he probably trained to be a middle forward rather than a hooker. I haven't seen too much in him that warrants selection, so I'm going to pass on him. He'll be probably my first pick next year when he's a starting hooker for the Roosters. It's hopefully $350K, if not cheaper. So it's a pass for me.
Yeah, well, I've already got him. I got him weeks and weeks and weeks ago, and it was only a downgrade. And I thought maybe I can use this guy later. Might be dual flexibility of hooker. I might be able to put him up there if I need to later. I just thought that's a downgrade I can do. He's not going to lose too much cash. I got him for about that cheap price of $350-ish. People could be a little bit attracted to him by that 67 he got last week, because that doesn't look bad. Yeah, I'll take 67 for sure for $300K. Yeah. But look back at the rest of the scores and maybe. But the thing is, he's probably going to play more minutes this week because Harry is out. So maybe you are going to get close to that 67. But if you're giving him for a longer term play as well, I wouldn't get around it.
I think if long-term play, I don't think it is
Wouldn't
really
want to play
an
him
option.
going forward.
I'm bringing him in, but I'm only thinking of it as a 2-week thing for now.
Yeah.
And then if something does happen, it could end up. He could end up being. I mean, he was basically a keeper last year. Hopefully, he returns to that sort of form, but I'm not expecting that. I'm thinking 2 weeks. He plays big minutes this week with Harry Grant out, and then Harry Grant, I'm thinking, gets rested after Origin, and he plays big minutes for 2 weeks in a row. And that's it. I'm just thinking 2 weeks, and then he can become someone like maybe David Fafita or whoever it happens to be later on. Cool. So he's in for me, but I don't feel
the
particularly.
Cash to turn Brandon Smith into David Fafita.
Oh mate, I've got that extra. I got that little bit.
I guess the best thing with Brandon Smith is that dual position, like you mentioned. You know, I got Kobe Hetherington, for example.
Yeah.
But a lot of people have Ruben Cotter still. Cameron McInnes, so you can sort of swing each way. So, you know, it's not a bad call.
Let's move on to the Sharkies wingers. They're very popular this week in Sione Katoa and Ronaldo Mulatalo. First of all, are you interested in either of them, and how would you split them?
I'm going to forgo them. I'm going to stick with my Penrith centre wings for the run home.
Yep.
At the game last week, in the terrible conditions at Combank Stadium against the Bulldogs, they do so much work. So much ruck out work, Will Kennedy doesn't really do that tough stuff, and they just come in. You see him from the other side of the field to come in and take that hard yards. In the wet, they both, scored a try each, but over 60, which was fantastic. So I don't hate it. I think obviously Katoa was probably more of a pod, so if you want to go there, but
Big Tom more of a pod, yeah. He's got a good rat in the back. It's one of the thickest rats in the NRL, I'll say.
And he loves playing the Storm. He turned up earlier this season. So.
Nice. Well, one of the most popular, or the most popular player this week is Ryan Papenhausen, and this is one of the reasons why he got our play of the week.
Now Jerome Hughes. Ryan Papenhausen with another try to Melbourne. Back-to-back tries for the Storm. Ryan Papenhausen setting sail for the... This is incredible.
There we go, Ryan Papenhausen, the most popular purchase this week and the most popular VC as well. So if you want to zig while others zag, you could do what Joe Naddaf is doing and go with Latrell Mitchell instead. Let's run through, a lot of late changes, so let's do late mail. Repeating the final teams, Grant Anderson is definitely in, so you can lock him into your team. Paps there, obviously, as well. The Storm are 1-17. And a couple of little switches for the Sharkies. But, of course, Nico Hines is out as of yesterday's news. Alex Johnston is battling a quad injury, so he's in doubt. He was really popular at the start of the week. He was about the 4th most purchased player. Obviously, a lot of people are reversing now. What are your thoughts on Johnston?
Oh, it's annoying for owners because it's just that, he's a pod too, so it's not like it's one that a lot of people are copying. Like with a Hines, we all go, but nearly everybody has him, so it doesn't affect too much. It just changes the amount of options there are for the VC, I guess. But yeah, that's kind of annoying for them, and wait and watch. I guess it's a second game,
tomorrow night, and they're depleted as well because Campbell Graham's out long term with a facial injury as well. So their backline is suddenly looking a little bit thin.
Yeah, I guess if you're an owner of Alex Johnson, it's $700K. If he is out there, you can spin pretty much for anyone that you want to get, so it's pretty good. Upsetting thing for me is Cody Walker's in my side, so is Latrell, or as of tomorrow. So Alex Johnson finishes tries, others don't finish. So normally coming off Latrell and Cody,
speed,
exactly, he's a pure finisher. So for me, I'm hoping he's playing, not for the fact Alex Johnson will score many points, but the fact that he will convert Cody Walker and Latrell's try assists into tries. And
well, who do you think will fill in
points
for him if he doesn't play there? What's the
Richie Kenner, I think, is.
Richie Kenner's been, that's what Timmy Williams said in his late mail today. So
could Richie Kenner go to the right maybe, and whoever's on the go to the other side?
Who's on the other side? Tane Mill, is it? Or I'm not sure.
Is Paul over in the centres now?
Jackson Paulo.
Well, Jackson Paulo, yeah.
Well, they can bypass the wingers, give it to Isaiah Tass every time.
Yes, that would suit perfectly. Love that in. Isaiah Tass will play, by the way. He's been named, and his job security is good now with all these injuries going on as well.
Yeah.
Ryan Madison is a guy who I think all of us were interested in, but it looks like he will be out with that rib injury. So reverse that trade, I certainly have. But if you do have one up your sleeve and he does get named at the last minute or does play at the last minute, then he could be a guy to bring in.
I'm a Ryan Madison owner, and it's been racking my brain. I think I was speaking a couple of days ago. Rib injuries aren't the best. They tickle a bit, so it's just undecisive.
It's hard to breathe.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of questions, a lot of comments about Sean Lane to go to Sean Lane. Now, outside Dylan Brown's a good place to be. He's hitting holes, he's finding support, he offloads. So that could be a sideways for me. Sean Lane in for Ryan Madison.
That was my next thought after Madison being out too.
Yeah, a lot of upside.
Yeah. I don't know. There's something about Lane that for me, don't love him as much. I put in 3 para players last week. I can't just, otherwise I'll be the Villy Eels.
Can't do that.
Yeah.
So many questions coming through, guys.
A lot of stuff on Jerome Hughes as a left field option. Yeah. Would you go Jerome Hughes?
I don't hate it at all, but I think the halves are a really hot position, and I don't see him in my team at the end of the season. Whereas there are some guys in that position, and fullback as well, because they're related with Hines being dual position. Right. I feel like they're better options to the end of the year, but I don't hate it either.
He's always just below that top echelon, isn't he, of halfbacks?
Not quite there. Like, if he kicked goals or something, then he'd be completely elite.
But he always scores a try.
Look at him now, if that's all right. Just a little... It'd be nice if the thing would scroll for me, but I'm just sitting here. There we go. Yeah, they're pretty nice. 50, 101, 73, 55, 77, 60, 108. Working backwards, that is, the most recent scores to... Okay, yeah, that's nice.
You should dominate with that Grant and Munster, obviously, tonight.
Has anyone reported the weather to us yet? How's it looking? Is it looking...
I had a quick look this afternoon. Sydney's looking good.
Woolooware good.
Wooloware's good.
It's Woolooware.
It's always windy at Woolooware, though. Yeah. That's for sure. Sydney's looking pretty good, but there might be a little bit of residual dampness floating around in some places. Where are all the games, by the way? Are they...
Shark Park?
There's one up in Suncorp,
Newcastle,
isn't there?
Sundays, Suncorp.
Suncorp. So
Saturdays
we'll have to check
Leichhardt.
right in if you know the Brisbane weather, but Sydney's looking pretty good for this weekend, despite this week being pretty poor on the weather front. Kelsey's saying, Timmy, buy a laptop. You should get one like mine that doesn't even work.
I'll speak to my sponsor for you too.
Thanks very much.
They're fantastic. Brian, let's go.
Thoughts on Olam as a pod? He's a guy who came home, I think it was last year where he came home really hard.
I think he's very Cameron Munster dependent. If Munster was in, I'd be all over him. Nick Meaney, how much quality ball would you give him? Papenhausen loves a cutout pass. I can see him bypassing the centre going to the winger. Brave. I'd probably go Zach Lomax if I had to bring a centre in or something.
I reckon Olam looks good on eye test, but then I went back and I was looking at his scores today, so I actually thought, is he a bit of a pod? I'll consider him, and I just didn't. It was really underwhelming, a lot of it, so majority of it.
Yeah.
And he's still not that cheap, so.
Is there any love for Joe Offahangaway? I know he's pretty popular this week, and he doesn't quite tick the boxes for me, but he's certainly been in good form.
His scores have been phenomenal, and his base has been amazing. Losing Alex Twile helps him, obviously, and he's indefinite now with a young Paul being a youngster. I took a minor coming back from a big injury. I just think he's not going to be my final 17. Do you want? Dual position helps, but would you buy him for the sake of 2 or 3 weeks? You're going to stick with him at the end of the year. I think trades are thin. It's not for me, but averaging 75, 80 the last 3-4 rounds.
You could do it.
Don't hate it.
I don't mind it. It's just the price is a bit. You look at the price. I won't pay that much for him. But
yeah, I'd probably wait a week go Tarpane if I could.
Yeah, for a long-term play. Jeez, he's been killing it, hasn't he?
Ridiculous.
We've had someone writing about Brisbane weather saying it's beautiful up here from Dean. So
It always is.
that could be, it could be a game to target, that one.
Patches O'Hallahan, thoughts on Micah Sevo?
Love that name, Patches O'Hallahan. That's probably the best name going around.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, what was the question?
Who cares? No. Micah Sevo.
Yeah, I kind of had a little bit of a cheeky think about it. I haven't really assessed it too much because he hasn't played that much, and it just sort of looks a little bit more uncoordinated than normal at the moment, Sevo, but he could just click any time when he wants, you know what I mean?
He's always spoken about, isn't he? Every year on end he comes and gets in a discussion on that. Will Parramatta click and...
Is he running that bloody Kemamalo?
Other side.
So he running that Nofo. Ooh, it's probably better.
Yeah, he's a guy who can go on a run, that's for sure.
Yeah.
We've got a question come through from John Dragon 16, who...
The pest.
The pest himself. John Fardall, he's asking, could you ask Joe Naddaf why he has cancelled his SuperCoach classes where he used to give his loyal followers free advice?
I'll always give free advice. He used to come over all the time, bring me like a nice chicken sandwich, we'd have a chat, talk SuperCoach. He stopped coming. I think he's been on a diet, light and easy diet, and he stopped coming fast.
Oh, well, it's his fault then, isn't it? John's got to fire up. And you are giving free advice like every second or third week on the Countdown show anyway.
Send him stars though if you want.
Always.
Latrell Mitchell, obviously really popular, and he's brought out a documentary today. This is a little teaser.
SuperCoach on Meat Gone Global. We in Philly, baby. Ready to go. Get some training done, get strong, get back to the south, do my thing. Can't wait. Obviously get myself strong and then be able to carry all the things I learned for the next 14 days through my whole career.
Is gifted to learn something quickly, has a lot of skills and power and speed and can express it, competitive, things like that. He's pretty special.
Yeah, it's what I love to do, and like I said, people can take the piss out of this trip and say, oh, he's a golden boy, or he can't even back up a season, he can't play finals. I said, well, this is why I'm investing in myself, because I'm so invested in the club, because I want to go to that level. And once we get there, there's no stopping me. Sky's the limit.
Geez, Latrell is looking fit, he's looking motivated. You've already brought him in. I made the switch just before the show. Yes, who else is convinced? Well, has that video convinced everyone?
It's Naddaf week, and he's probably one of the biggest.
He'll be fired up. Yep.
Role models and heroes for the mob, I guess you could say.
Yes.
Yeah. So has that video changed any opinions?
I'm a sucker for a video. I'm a sucker for a junior highlight is the worst. If I watch a junior highlight and a player, I almost always get them in because their highlights always look good. But yeah, that little package.
Further enhanced my opinion, and I can't wait. Yep. He's going to outscore Pappy.
All right, I'm kind of tempted by that decision as well. Let's talk guilty pleasures. This is the player you shouldn't pick, but you can't help yourself. And for me this week, it's a player who I just really don't want to sell, and that's Cameron Munster. I feel like he's going to come home really hard. He'll miss this week. He probably doesn't play backing up from Origin next week, so he probably got 2 more weeks of him not playing. But then on the run home, I feel like he's going to be so strong in that 5'8" position.
Has the Melbourne Storm and Penrith Panthers being so far ahead worry you at all? I mean, Panthers pretty much just set up the minor premiership. Melbourne's probably top 2, already guaranteed.
Well, look,
it's a big season.
Ivan Cleary is much... He doesn't rest players as much as
Correct.
Bellamy, that's for sure. So it worries me a lot more with the Storm and Cameron.
Like have a decent backup, surely. Yeah.
Yeah.
My guilty pleasure is, we spoke about it all night, Latrell Mitchell. Back in the last year when he put that elbow on Joey Manu, I was actually opposing him in a few leagues, and I was death riding him to get suspended for a long time and sent off, and he came back, and now I'm singing his praises. So, Latrell, fire up, mate.
Yeah, my guilty pleasure is going to be, not that he's in my side or not that I'm bringing him. I did think about it today, though. It's Corey Oates, and he's an old guilty pleasure of mine. When I first started playing SuperCoach, I think he'd just sort of started debuting, And I sort of always got him and even held on to him when you shouldn't. And I'd always start with him, even if he was overpriced the years after and stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I always liked Corey Oates and was pretty close to bringing him in today. I reckon he could still have a big game, though. Brisbane's
He's scoring tries.
nice conditions.
Plenty of questions coming through, guys. Dylan Brown, where does he sit in your final team calculations, guys?
Behind Munster. Second to Munster, I think. He's probably the second. I've got Cody Walker. I probably can't wait to sell him. Hopefully he repays the favour of my faith and he produces this week for me. But yeah, I think it's Munster, then Dylan Brown. His base is fantastic. Didn't run the ball much last week, which is probably disappointing, but probably the conditions didn't help. So
Maybe Drinkwater as a close third to second, I think, as well. He's sort of pipping.
Hasn't he come on?
Yeah, he's looking good.
Yeah.
Did Tim watch something about Mary before coming on this show?
That was the other Tim last week, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I borrowed his hair
everyone-
product. He left it here in the green room.
That's a recycled joke from last week.
Kesley Smith is actually a guilty pleasure about asking about those balls. You want to introduce the balls, Tommy?
Yes, Zinger of the
Zinger,
week.
yeah.
If you come up with a Zinger,
Kelsey?
you can win one of these balls down here. That's for sure. And there are lots of Zingers coming through. Shauno is saying, my guilty pleasure is holding on to Cotter as a pod for his return.
That's a fair shout. I do know a lot of people who have him, and I think that he'd be a hard one to get rid of because he's probably one of those guys you probably couldn't bring back. If you're going to sell a gun, you know it's a priority, you've got to get him back. But there was a couple of people last year that ended up selling and wanted to get towards the back end of the year, like To'o.
Okay.
And I just couldn't get him back. Or I could have, but it wasn't the best move to make. I was sort of in the lead, so I was trying to block other moves. So Payne Haas was probably a better move and doing stuff like that. So some of the guys you think you're going to bring in, not always you can. So that's a tough one. So I don't mind holding him.
I think with Cod, if you've held this long, it's probably 2 or 3 weeks. You've done the hard part now.
Yeah.
You went through the origin, this buy, so he'll come back.
He's a
bigger and
tough
better.
little dude. I reckon when
Isn't
he comes
good
back
to
in
watch?
this week.
Fantastic.
Speaking of tough, it's a pretty tough week for cheapies. Let's do cheapie of the week. So, Fanua Pole is easily the most purchased cheapie for this round. I feel that I'd probably prefer enough in that position. It's a really tough position at prop to have cheapies. So I'm avoiding. But certainly in his game on the weekend, 40-odd in 40 minutes, he looked pretty good. I don't see those minutes keeping up. But still, I mean, if he came along earlier in the year, I'd be all over it.
I reckon this one's team dependent, just because I was driving here thinking, because I was tossing up between Jed Cartwright and Pole, and I'm going, all right, who do I want to do? And I'm thinking, if I do want Pole, he might hang around, and maybe it's not great for AE concerns, but if you're running out of players and you can't field 17, you'll take his
40 odd,
yeah. So I was kind of thinking, because I've already got a few nuffs, that might be a problem. If I'm going to have to nuff out again, maybe I get the guy that's kind of not going to be enough and could hang around. But if you don't want that AE nightmare, I'd probably go to a Cartwright or Hoskin because they're probably less likely to reappear.
I can't begrudge anyone bringing anyone in for depth. I mean, I think like we've seen with COVID, with now Rudolph and Nigga Hines out, people are anything on trades, no more boost. It's going to be a scary last 6-7 weeks. So I think anyone that you bring in that's going to play that can get you that 40 or 45. Another injury can play 55, 60 minutes. Then I can't begrudge anyone. In terms of the cheapies, next guy on the list, I'm going to go for Young Hoskins for me. I think, that thin bench at the Broncos, I think it just bodes a bit better for me.
Yep, fair enough. We've got Grant Anderson has been named tonight, repeating that news. So you got to lock him into your squad, really. It's highly unlikely that you'll have more than 17 this week. Ezra Mam is a really popular sell, and Trent Copeland, who writes our Cheapie Bible each week, is actually selling Ezra Mam. Sounds a little bit crazy to me, given that he's playing this week, but a lot of people are doing it. He's about the 6th or 7th most sold player this round.
Yeah, a number this week. He's had a say with 380s. That's pretty hard to ignore for me. So one attacking start, he can get 60 plus in a bye week. Is two.
Yep.
His break even's about 30, so very manageable. He's a hold for me, and then he'll definitely go. He'll be part of my Papenhausen money next week for sure.
I can't judge that choice too much myself because I was pretty close to selling Cody Walker myself, even though he's playing this round. But it was just kind of like, I don't want to sell one of my other guns. I'll probably sell Cody, but then I thought, I'm playing for overall, so not for head-to-head. So I do want as many points as I can get. I'm better off taking any points. Even if Cody does get a stinking 23, those 23 points might help me.
Yep, I 100% agree with you there. Ezra Mam staying in my team. I can see why people would sell, to be honest, because you can get someone like Dylan Brown or Latrell Mitchell or Papenhausen this week. But for me, I've got the right balance in those positions.
Wouldn't it hurt for like Ezra Mam to outscore the guy that you sell to get him thinking, I've got to get this guy, he's outscoring by this much, and then Ezra Mam puts out an 80 and your guy gets 30.
It could easily happen.
Yeah,
That's
with
for
my
sure. Up
team,
against the Dragons, who are in the top 8, by the way. Dragons are in the top 8. No, don't forget that. But it's still it's a pretty decent matchup at home for the Broncos.
Yeah, but
although they're depleted.
Vaughnies.
Oh, mate, as long as the Dragons boys stay out of barbecues, then we might just sneak into the 8. It's a good time of the year to be a crap team. It's probably same with the Bulldogs. You're playing, your team is basically full strength and everyone else is depleted. Love this time of year. Let's move on to Isaiah Tass. You mentioned before that he's a gun and I cut you off. So continue on your Isaiah Tass.
Yeah, well, I don't have him. I bought him well before everyone else did. I bought him about 3 rounds before he got a call up, just in anticipation that he would. And then I sort of just once he was slipped out of it, I just had to get rid of him just because I needed to bring someone else in. So I'm a bit disappointed that I don't have him, and lovely for those that have held him. But yeah, I think he's a really, really good player.
He's a Supercoach kind of player. He's got in the eye, he's got tackle busting technique, puts himself in the right
I
position.
think he's a great rugby league player.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah, well, exactly right. But he just puts himself in that position, so yeah, I'm a big fan.
Coates pointed out Kelma Tuolangi is really cheap. He was his sort of left field cheapie. I mean, he's mid 3, so not exactly a cheapie. Any love for Kelma? Obviously, there's injuries there, so that means that he is back playing 80 minutes in the back row. A tough season for him because he had those shoulder injuries. He had 2 bung shoulders, plus he kept getting head knocks as well. Yeah. But finally, it looks like he's getting a good run in that team.
Yeah, not for me. I've got a thing where if you start with someone and you sell them, it's very hard to buy back if not a gun. It's a bit of a Supercoach pride that I can't, let go. So it's not for me.
That's why I had my pride and bought Reid Marnie back last week. We know how I felt about Reid Marnie at the start of the season, rushing him out of my side, and disappointed me again. But that's okay, Reid. Well, I'm paying the faith, and I think he's going to do well for me going forward. I hope.
One guy who is absolutely killing it for your Bulldogs, Joe Naddaf, is Jacob Karaz, but he is a very popular sell this week. Do you agree?
Yeah, well, I'm going to part ways. Here's my ticket to Latrell with an upgrade elsewhere. As a Bulldogs supporter, I finally had my son who can cheer for a Bulldogs player that he actually likes, not Lachlan Lewis or Adam Elliott, thankfully. So, but he's done his job. He's been fantastic in Supercoach and actual NRL. It's good to see a young kid having a crack. I think he'll be a Supercoach staff in the future. He just gets involved. He's tackle busting, he offloads. Again, like Tass, the ball seems to follow him. He puts himself in those good positions. So.
He likes those little inward runs. It reminds me of Mansour used to do quite a few of those.
Loves a fan, loves an offload. Hard work.
Winger, I think, as well.
Xavier Savage is another one who's been killing it. I sold last week and I didn't feel great about it, but I think he has done his job. He just keeps busting out decent scores in that team.
Yeah, fantastic. I think if you've got to sell him, sell him. But with the news of Nico Klokstad going back to the Warriors, that might sort of get him out of the pecking order, and he can be the full-time fullback. Again, tackle buster, gets involved, a lot of hit-ups. When he was matching, I think 20 hit-ups a game a couple of weeks ago, so that bodes well for your scores.
Exciting. I feel we don't know what we're going to see. There's more that he's going to show us, so it's fun to wait and see what that is.
This is one of the greatest Supercoach videos of all time. It's the stages of the Supercoach season. Isn't that true? We always do end up coming back despite all the carnage and drama that we face. Speaking of carnage and drama, we've got so many questions coming through of people struggling. Let's help them out.
Well, I've got the weather report from Cronulla for you, Timmy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mark Sheen, cold, windy and very dry in Cronulla.
Thank
So
you for
you
the
mentioned the
three
wind,
ways of describing that.
There you go.
Beautiful.
Guys, Edric Lee, minus 59 BE. Obviously, that massive score last week. For me, it's probably too late to sort of chase that quick cash, but he's paying this week. Newcastle against a depleted South Sydney side.
What's he
Any?
What's he cost?
400?
480. Yeah, no, it's way too much.
Too much.
Yeah. Okay.
Way too much.
Mooks FC, who's currently ranked number 7 overall, good friend of mine now.
Wow.
Daniel Saifiti, with his brother getting caught into Origin, he needs a sort of 350 prop. Do you think his minutes will be good?
Maybe, like, are you trying to hold on to him for the rest of the year? Is
Well,
it
he's
just
a try scorer. He can score a try.
Yeah. It's an awkward
would
price.
go
I feel like you
a
either want a
Cole-
gun or you want a cheapie that
Yeah.
can just get those sorts of points. I feel like those awkward 300k ones, Brandon Smith's one of those as well, but I guess if you want someone that's going to have a bit of a role going forward and you might need to rely on them, then maybe you do get the Saifiti fella or someone like the Cheese. But yeah, if you want to just do a one and done, the cheap guy's probably better because you'll need the cash later.
I'm not quite sure why the bloke coming 7th is asking me for advice. That's for sure.
Good man, Mooks.
Let's move on to some other questions here. Any news on Alex Johnson? Sorry, we don't have any update, but we should have something come through tomorrow. They got their captain's run tomorrow. So we'll wait and see if he trains there. And we do have reporters chasing it.
A lot of questions to former champ Tim. With the buy planning, second buy, how much do you want to, like when you talk about numbers and guns, versus like a Jed Karaz that might score you 30 or 40. What's your take on that?
Oh, I reckon you'd prefer to have as many guns as you can because they've got that potential to get you those.
Well, you
decent
mentioned
sort
4
of
guns that are going to come into your side tonight.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
I'm changing gears. I'm going hard.
yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. So look, for me, I think I was pretty tempted to bring the cheaper guy in, but I thought, look, I've saved trades throughout the year for a reason, and it was going to be to go hard at the very back end. But I decided in the marathon, I'm going to have to, trust my lungs and start sprinting early.
Yeah, so the guys like Tedesco that you're going to sell, very professional. The guys like Tedesco that you're going to sell, do you aim to bring them back? Like how many of those that you sell?
Yeah, that's what I was talking about before. Like I say, I aim to bring him back, but I've got a lot of numbers to bring in now. So like bringing back Nico Hines, bringing back Munster,
Harry Grant,
Teddy.
It's hard, isn't it?
Oh, I've got a lot of people. Yeah, that's going to be tough. And can I afford them? Because the guy I've got now, will they match that price? And I've only got a few trades to sort of run home with after this weekend. So,
Question from Peter.
not a few, but a few more than a few.
There are some questions coming through about Maddo. He's not officially out yet, but the mail is that he will get ruled out. People are saying just boycott the buy round. Fair enough. It's where we all like overall.
Yeah.
But if you're a head-to-head player, just don't worry about this round. There are
At
no
all.
really good
Yeah.
buys.
Save your
I mean,
trades.
if you can get Pap, if you can get Latrell, go for it. Other than that, save your trades. Keep them up your sleeve.
I'd even worry
hope
assess,
that
do it later. Don't even have
Yeah.
to do it this week. Worry about whether you want to do it next week. Take the points. If you're only predicted to get 200 points, you don't care about overall. You're playing in your cash comp,
I'll tell you
and you're
what.
looking at that. Save those trades because at the back end of the year, when it's like finals, you'll be able to bring in some guns on that matchup, or if there's injuries, you'll be able to deal with them. When some of your opponents, you'll be able to play like in the final, like the very last final, even the grand final, they might have only 13 or 14 players. Happens every year.
I'll tell you what though, it's league dependent because all the leagues I'm in, differentials is a big thing, massive. So you got teams between 6 and 18 points, for example, and differentials is going to differentiate.
Differential. I say you just
it's massive.
trust
It's
yourself
massive.
going forward and go, I'll get the 2 points next week, I'll get the 2 points after that, and I'll get the
It's
2 points
massive.
after that.
Well, look, I'll tell you what, I'm more chance of winning money in a lot of my head-to-head leagues than I am winning the overall.
Overall, yeah, me too, I'd say
I'm kind of
208,
leaning
but-
towards that, but I'm also trying to obviously keep my overall ranking somewhat respectable as well, even though it's not that respectable.
Yeah,
as it currently
because if you
stands.
if you tell your mates like, I won me work comp, I'm like, yeah, it's all right. You know what I mean? It's good in the work comp. It's good at work, but I don't think the blokes at the pub care.
Well, well, there are some big money on the line in some head-to-head competitions. That's for sure.
I got some breaking news here, Tom.
Yes.
You've changed your captain.
Yeah, I have. Yeah. Yep. So,
On the
not my captain, but my VC.
VC.
I've changed.
What's your news?
Latrell. I'm going with Latrell.
Oh, that's the breaking news.
Yeah,
Massive.
Papenhausen.
He's doing that.
The guru, yeah.
Oh,
I'm doing that.
I thought there was some sort of like...
The masses will follow now.
Okay.
No, there's no breaking news around Ryan. Brian Papenhausen hasn't done his calf in the warm up or anything like
Not
that.
yet. In the first
I'm
minute.
just chasing pods. I need to make up some ground.
Yeah,
so that's the main thing there. And then I've got the safe captaincy on Papali'i, who I say safe, but hasn't actually been that
safe
good.
captain of Papali'i. Yeah,
hasn't been that good.
That's a good move.
Did you have him last week?
Yeah, Captain Papali'i last week for his 38. I thought I was a genius selling Angus Crichton. He scored poorly. I was like, I'll trade Papali'i for the safe play. I'll be conservative. I'll make some attacking moves later. So now I'm overcompensating.
You don't sound
Sort of
devastated
like pressing the boost button and...
Jeez.
You don't sound devastated about that move at all. You haven't been
pretty
ruining it
devastated.
all week.
Yeah.
Reload.
Yeah,
You'll be
it's
back.
fine. It's fine though. As I was telling you, Joe, I saw something that changed my outlook. I saw on a blackboard with all these books that were for free for the community to trade. The blackboard said, "Don't let the game change you. Change the game." And I was like, "Yeah." And then it said, "Anything is possible with a little love, focus, and attention." And I was like,
There we go.
And then my whole outlook changed. And so,
You know what that
number
means?
one, what's your name? Blink-182. Oh, I'm coming for you, bro.
You know what that means? You got to double down on Isaac Papali'i as captain this week.
No. You couldn't do it
No,
to
he's
yourself. It's
changed-
like, you could.
Changing
it's
the
like
game. He's changing the
That's right.
game. He's not changing him. No.
The game's not going to change me because I was moping around work, dragging my little trolley thing that I have to heavy things in. I'm like, real sad. And I looked up and I was like, oh. And then I changed my posture and had a little bit of a in my step.
Nice.
Oh, I love it.
Well, here we go. We're going to talk. We're talking of captains. Right now, we're going to do Cope's captains. We still do that sting every week. Copes has only been on one show this year, but I've penciled him in for next week. So hopefully he's on next
Hitting
round.
sixes, having kids.
Having
Important
kids,
things.
and he's started training, pre-season training today as well with the New South Wales Blues. So it's all happening for him. The most popular captain is Nicho Hynes. That's just people who haven't done their team, surely. So fix that up quick, Sticks, because Nicho Hynes is out. The next most popular captain is Papenhausen. Now, you wouldn't be captaining Papenhausen this week because you do genuinely get 2 bites of the cherry with the VC loophole this week, giving basically everyone will have less than 17 players. So reverse that, get Papenhausen as your VC instead. Next up
And
is
to make him
Cleary.
your captain, don't just leave it there. Or just to clarify that, if you are quite new to it, it's a SuperCoach, you'll VC him, and then later in the week, one of your players that aren't playing, it might be Nathan Cleary, you'll make him your captain, which will give your VC the double score.
Yep. If Papenhausen goes well, that's what you do. If he doesn't go well at all, then
Second
you just
choice, another
go with a captain. Next up is Cleary, who's at 10%. He's not playing this week, so sort that out. And then next is Papali'i, who will be, I believe, the safe option this week. But don't say that.
He'll probably go out and score 500 tries against his new club. I really kind of like that Eels-Tigers matchup. There's a few narratives to be written, I think. There's Moses playing against his ex-club. There's Ryan Madison, who's not playing, but he would have been playing against his ex-club.
Correct.
And then Papali'i.
Well, and the other thing is that the Tigers have been really vocal in the media this week about the leaks that are coming, the media leaks. So I feel like they're going to be pretty fired up as well. And it's at Leichhardt. I think they've only played one other game at Leichhardt this year, and don't absolutely 100% quote me on that.
Yeah,
but they haven't played much at Leichhardt at all this season, so it's a big game.
They beat the Bulldogs.
It's a big game. I reckon the Tigers are maybe not a sneaky chance for the win, but certainly. I think they will definitely compete this weekend. Moving on to VCs, Papenhausen's way ahead. Hynes is still really high. He's not playing, guys. Fix that up. Papali'i is still there, and Harry Grant is still there too. He's not playing either. So definitely fix up your VCs and Cs. We're going to take questions to the end of the show. Do you have any coming through?
Yes. Sammy Harris, Campbell Graham to who?
Probably Mortalo, maybe. Or
Mortalo, Katoa, Sean Lane, Lomax.
Yeah, I like
have
that.
similar prices,
Yeah.
but then you could maybe, I don't know.
I don't mind Alex Johnson if he, same game, same team, sorry. So if you want to flip Campbell Graham to Alex Johnson, if he does play.
You could maybe even go Joe Offahangaway if you want a safe sort of like 50, 60, 70 points sort of thing, and just sort of through duels, I imagine most teams would be able to do it.
Tom, you mentioned earlier that you're going David Fafita possibly a week early.
Potentially, yeah. So I can make that decision late in the round, thankfully, with guys who aren't playing this week. So on Sunday, I could trade a Panther or a Titan or whoever it is who's not playing this week to David Fafita. So
That way you can still use the 2 trades next week.
That's just to
other trades.
make sure that I've got 2 trades next week. A definite option. I know some people are doing that with Harry Grant as well. It's just about getting ahead of the curve and having 2 trades for next round, which is a really important trading round. And I've used all my boosts, so I don't have those 3 next week. But it's really important next week because Origin players are back. You're getting your team right for the run home to the end of the year.
Very, very important. That's what
We're really struggling for zingers this week, guys. Send them through, please. We haven't had many good ones at all. And I repeat, if you do get the zinger, you'll get this pop up on the screen. Plus, you can also win one of these footballs here. Is Paps kicking goals tonight?
Meany started.
Meany's in the team.
No, but then Papenhausen kicked the last 3 or 4. So
Yeah, maybe he will. He should resume. Resume his role.
I think he should. I think Meany should cook.
Maybe you could have a look in the warm-up. Maybe he's on the field having a bit of a practice. I don't know.
Yeah, if someone's down there at Shark Park, please do let us know. Send through zingers. We don't have long left to go in the show. You can... Basically, any half-decent call is going to win one of these footballs. So send them through.
Oh, here we go. Jane Horton's coming late. Tim is the AE of the panel. Joe is VC and Tom's the captain.
I actually am the auto emergency of the panel. Coach was
It
meant
pretty
to be
much
on.
is, yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm an auto emergency most weeks.
Very reliable at about 1 o'clock on Thursday afternoon when we've run out of our panelists. Tim, can you come on?
There you go.
If Johnson is out, would you swing to Latrell? And you bank 100k with that trade. Yeah,
big
why
yes.
not?
Yeah.
Producers have... I need to read these first before I actually...
In your mind, yeah. Okay.
No.
Hi guys, sell Max King. He's done a great job. Just got the dual position.
I need him, I think, because I do need a backup prop if that comes down. And I can swap him through duels if I need to. Second round, I just think he's handy for my side.
Yeah, he's good for me. My team. He's my 3rd prop, and he's my backup for Payne Haas as well. But he's averaging mid-60s in the last 5 weeks anyway. Plus, he's got dual position.
Luke Thompson's still overseas. So.
Yeah, so I think, I mean, he's going very well in that position.
Yeah, you couldn't sell him.
No, there's just not good zingers. I don't know if we can even award a zinger of the week.
I might just go do a Matty Burton bomb in the car park or something like that.
There's a lot of Edward Scissorhands, people comparing you to Edward Scissorhands, which I don't mind. No, I reckon we're about done. No zinger this week. I'm not very
Matty
impressed.
Burton bomb in the car park it is. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, let's see what happens. Big thanks to 2 SuperCoach champions in Joe Naddaf and Tim Moodie. We'll catch you next week.